Hello and welcome back to Programmer Reacts to Silicon Valley. I'm still working on my setup here. Last video I recorded and it was in 50 FPS, so there was a little bit of light flicker. I apologize for that. Hopefully I've got it resolved this time, but we'll see what happens. Let me know if you notice anything. I am trying to improve quality here. So, anyway, all that out of the way. Last time we went through the TechCrunch convention competition thing. Erlich slept with a man's wife after sleeping with his ex-wife. That resulted in a really messy divorce, and then it cut out. There was also a bunch of other stuff that happened in the episode, but that's the thing that really stuck in my mind over the last week or so. So we're going to jump into Season 1, Episode 8, and I'm already a little uneasy because the name of this episode is legitimately Optimal Tip-to-Tip Efficiency. And I'm really, really hoping that they mean end-to-end, but I have a feeling it's going to go completely off the rails.
Got a call from your attorney, Mr. Laflamme, informing me that, in his view, this incident is actionable. And in addition to holding TechCrunch liable for any damages, which may include the loss to Pied Piper of potentially billions in revenue and share value, he may be naming me personally in a lawsuit. So,
I don't know if that would fly. Would this individual, this representative of TechCrunch, would he be able to be held liable for the actions of one of the judges? I don't know what the legality is surrounding the judges signing on for an event put on by TechCrunch. I'd be interested to know about that a little bit more. I mean, it's not ridiculous to have a lawsuit there for the assault, but during the discovery phase, they would probably find that it was more of an aggravated assault, which is not any better necessarily, but they may find that Erlich was exacerbating the potential issue there. So
I would like to propose that we put this incident behind us, legally speaking, by sending Pied Piper directly through to the finals of Startup Battlefield, where you will compete for the grand prize. How does that sound?
I don't know how I feel about that. It's not like a quid pro quo thing because it happened. The negative thing happened before the event. I don't know. Something doesn't sit well with me. I don't know exactly how to word it, but I really don't like that. I mean, it's cool that they get to go to the finals, but that should be completely based on merit and based on voting of the conference. I mean, judges should be able to weigh in, but I don't think that it should be viable for them to go directly to the finals because one of them got assaulted and there's a threat of a lawsuit. I think that's a bit ridiculous. And I would be surprised if Gavin didn't find out about it at some point and then turn that into a media nightmare for Pied Piper.
Sound.
I think that's...
One question, regarding our hotel accommodations.
Hey, if you can milk it, right? That is a sick place.
Bam! Am I right, guys?
That would be actually a really cool semi-open space for them to actually have like an office in. If they were looking for an actual office space to rent. I don't know if hotels would do that, but I'd be surprised if hotels didn't consider maybe accommodating that if they could, right? Like changing some of the rooms over to shared spaces for work and for professional use. I know they rent out conference rooms sometimes, but maybe it'd be cool to have like a hotel, or maybe it's a defunct hotel and they're not generating income through people staying there as like a temporary residence or whatever. But what if they moved these hotels into shared office spaces for startups? That could be a cool idea.
I was just happy you got punched in the face, Erlich, but now I'm super happy.
I don't
Like
disagree.
I won twice.
I'm gonna disrupt this bathroom.
I
Same.
don't think this couch pulls out. I guess I'll get myself a roll-away bed.
I mean, you're welcome, guys. I had to fuck a wife and take a punch, but now we get to go into the finals tomorrow without having blown our wad in the prelims. We're trending up, boys. We are trending up.
Maybe you're right, but
It might give Richard a little bit more time to work on the 3D rendering for the video as well.
we should probably get back down there and check out the competition.
Ladies
good
and
idea.
gentlemen, Gavin Belson.
Here we go. Oh, similar lighting.
No matter what you may have heard, size matters. Welcome, everyone, to a journey into the Nucleus.
I hope this sucks.
Nucleus will provide the most diverse features ever assembled in a cloud-based compression suite.
Wait a second. Isn't TechCrunch supposed to be a startup competition? What the hell is Nucleus doing here? It's a product developed by Huli. Is it not exclusive to indie developers or actual startups, or is it focused on startup projects? Because if it's just focused on startup projects, that feels like a loophole where you'd see Oracle, Microsoft, Facebook, etc., 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 just feeding into this to get funding and notoriety rather than trying to bring small guys up to compete with the big guys or get bought out by the big guys. Why is Gavin here?
Massive functionality, interconnectivity, and the simplicity one has come to expect from the Huli family. We're making all your files available for lightning-fast download, accessible from any device. All these features will be seamlessly synced to Huli Mail, Huli Search, and the full suite of Huli computing power.
That's a lot of functionality. Don't worry, he can't come close to our Weissman score. Even with all this extra shit, it's like a fancy car with a crappy engine.
And now, for the moment of truth. As you will now see, our Weissman score is the best in the history of compression.
What the fuck?
It's exactly the same score as us.
2.89. That is not an error. We are breathing rare air here, operating at the limit for lossless compression in audio, video, and data. Anyone who tells you that their platform is faster than ours better have good lawyers. I hope you've enjoyed.
That's a scare tactic. If somebody comes out and has a faster algorithm, you can prove it through the Weissman benchmark. Like, that's not wild. That's not crazy. But I'm a little hesitant because they're talking about a lot of functionality here. And I get it that it's lossless streaming, but when we talk about compression, we're talking about the size of a file and specifically how the bits and pieces within the file fit together. So if you think of like a pillow, it tends to be rather fluffy. Let's say like a memory foam pillow. It tends to have a lot of room in it, but you can scrunch it down and put it in a vacuum bag or something like that, and you can squeeze out that air and it gets really, really small. Files are kind of the same way. They tend to be a little bit breathy, so to speak. And when you use compression, you are literally squeezing out all of that air, all of that negative space that is being surrounded by the actual data. And in order to get files down to that size, it takes a considerable amount of processing. And so the servers would have to be really, really powerful. Don't get me wrong. And using AWS is probably going to be your best bet there for fast delivery. AWS or a similar cloud hosting tool. But when we get to the client side, we get to like the Huli Mail thing or browsers, apps, etc. The consumption of that still takes a decent amount of processing power. And at least when the show was recorded, this episode, it seems to me that the hardware would have a difficult time processing that amount of data quickly without heating up. And heat is the enemy of electronics. Don't get me wrong, if you get it too cold, it can be a not so good thing because of static electricity. But heat will kill your computer faster than pretty much anything other than electrical interference, like electric shock and short circuit. But to get those files, lossless files, sent over to these machines and then decode them at the rate you would have to for something like a streaming service to not have buffered output, that seems crazy to me. And maybe I'm misunderstanding something. Because if they're compressing the file on the server, they have less to transmit over the line. Okay, that's not crazy, but it kind of goes against what I was saying earlier. The server crunches it down, sends it over to the client, and then the client has to interpret that custom packaging in order to be able to render it to the user. But when you're dealing with a lossless file or a lossless transmission of data, and then you have to consume it, you would almost have to have it at real time. Otherwise, you're going to buffer it. I guess you could technically buffer it into memory, but some of those files could be pretty hefty, although you're compressing them. Maybe I'm just on a long rant about nothing and I'm finally clicking it together. I am an external processor. I have to talk through most of the problems that I'm dealing with in order to actually get to the good part and get to the solution. But I know it's a show. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to think of trying to have a processing unit on my phone for this. Because if the server's crunching it down, there's not a big issue. But if your phone has to crunch it down in order to send it up, that's a totally different beast. But that wouldn't make sense, because why would you deliver that as a server-based service then? Yeah, I think I understand now. I think I understand.
I mean, they just completely reverse engineered our entire compression engine.
He totally sniped us.
We'll be fine.
What? They judge this contest on viability in the marketplace. I mean, at best, we're a worse version of Nucleus. I mean, they have 50 modules and they're all awesome. We have 5 that barely work. I mean, we're still having trouble compressing 3D files. Who's lining up to buy?
No, they don't. They said they do. They said they have 50 modules. That doesn't mean they do. Maybe I was a bit premature jumping to the no, they don't, but this is where things get a little screwy, right? So when you go to these kinds of startup meetups, whether it be a TechCrunch or some sort of tech meetup downtown or whatever, whenever somebody's doing a viability announcement a viability analysis and then an announcement of an impending release, the system is never going to be perfect, even on release day. It's why so many video games for 20, 30 years were buggy, and they had back doors that developers put in to be able to get to different areas that you could hack into, and like glitchy speed runs and things like that. It's why those exist, because software inherently is going to have bugs in it that you don't anticipate, and until it gets beaten to death by millions of users, you can't possibly know if it's going to be stable. Gavin comes out, and the thing is, Gavin is a con man in the truest sense of the term. It doesn't necessarily mean that he is misrepresenting something, but he is a con man in that the root of con man is confidence man. He is an individual that has a lot of confidence, and because he's very confident, we have a tendency to want to believe him. And Steve Jobs was another one of these, and actually, to a degree, Bill Gates. Though Bill Gates, I would argue, was much more of a technical mind than somebody like Jobs. Not saying Jobs wasn't technical, just saying he wasn't the most technical person in the space. He was just a really good marketer. Gavin is very much in that same kind of wheelhouse, where he knows how to generate hype and buy-in and knows how to get investors. We saw it with the Peter Gregory side of things, right? So I'm curious of what they actually have working at Nucleus. Because my guess is, even though we saw that little blip at the beginning of the last episode about them being optimal, programmers, especially when talking to leadership, will lie to make themselves look better so that they don't lose their jobs, especially at a place that is known to be able to pay people a lot of money. But in this case, I'm betting no amount of money, because I don't have a whole lot of money that I could just give away. In fact, I don't have any money that I could just give away. Regardless, I'm betting that Gavin doesn't have all of those 50 modules ready. He's announcing that they are working on them, and that they have planned integrations, planned support for 50 modules. But I would bet you that they likely only have maybe 5 to 6 modules because they've had less time to work on Pied Piper or Nucleus than Richard has. And technically, the branch that they had was way less viable than what Richard has. And way less viable, I think, than even what Big Head had access to. So I'm interested to see where this actually goes. But if you're ever in a position like this where you are looking to launch a product and somebody else comes out with a product that is very similar, be careful of copyright and trademark, because if they have those and you don't, you're not in a good spot. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't release the software. Maybe under copyright and trademark, you may have to refrain from it, or you may have to adjust it in order to fit a little bit better. But if you're talking about something like the Nucleus Pied Piper situation, go ahead and release it anyway, because just because somebody else beats you to market doesn't mean that you're not doing it in a better way. And just because they have integration with their stuff doesn't mean everybody wants to use that. There are a number of people out there that really don't like using Google products like the Pixel or have Gmail accounts, things like that. There are also a lot of people out there that don't like Apple's side of things and I'm not talking the hardware, I'm talking specifically the software. They don't necessarily like having, the Mail app and the App Store and all of the other, those are really basic examples, but all of those other tools integrated into one system because people are afraid of the security implication. So go ahead and release it anyway, as best you can, avoiding copyright and trademark issues, and build it to the best of your ability, because somebody, maybe even a decent number of somebodies, may actually prefer your stuff because it's not integrated. Some people like that separation of concerns. So just as a heads up there.
Why that?
Who the fuck cares? So the platform can't handle 3D files. You know what? 3D movies suck anyway. I could actually argue this Gavin nonsense is a positive.
Please don't.
We just need to really dial it up for the big show tomorrow.
Dial what up? He just ruined us.
And until then, we need to do what any animal in nature does when it's cornered. Act erratically and blindly lash out at everything around us.
Isn't that...
I'm gonna go get in Gavin's head.
Isn't that
Hey,
what
guys,
Erlich does anyway?
Okay, so this is it, right? A lot of successful startups launched with a different business model. And when they ran into trouble, they pivoted to something new, right? Like Instagram, that was a location-based check-in service when it started, and then they pivoted. Or
YouTube was a video dating website before people started using it for what we do now. And then Google bought them and started allowing people to monetize. So, yeah, pivot. If you have the ability to pivot, do it. I am interested to see what Jared has to say here. I think his name is actually Leonard, right?
chat roulette, okay? That was social media, and then they pivoted to become a playground for the sexually monstrous. We just
they didn't mean to do that, though.
That people want, right? We can pivot too.
Dude, you are fucked up right now.
Yeah, you're pinning bad.
Well, I'll admit I'm sleep challenged. I just spent 4 days trapped in a steel box out on an oil rig full of robot forklifts. So that was hard, but I'm back. I am recovering, and I am focused, and we're going to pivot. Don't lose faith, guys, right? Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. We've got a great name. We've got a great team. We've got a great logo, and we've got a great name. Now we just need an idea. Let's pivot.
This is actually really good advice. I mean, for an exhausted person, it's not a bad idea. I would recommend sleeping a little bit more before you refine the idea, but absolutely. If you run into this kind of challenge and it's insurmountable, think outside the box. You've got a decent app. You've got a decent tool here. How else could you use it? Yeah, it's fine for compression and everything. What if you pivot into I don't know, something like a remote video game streaming tool, kind of like what Stadia was supposed to be. If you've got that kind of system, Gavin seems to be focused more on the day-to-day productivity, but if you swap it over and you start focusing on tools like Twitch or YouTube Live or whatever, and allowed people to stream their games at lossless quality, maybe that's a good pivot point that gets you away from Gavin's target market and more into a niche that will solidify around you.
Let's pivot.
That might be the last time we see him alive.
I think
Maybe.
I'm just gonna take a walk and try and clear my head. I'll see you guys back at the hotel room. We'll figure out what to do then.
A lot of programmers don't think about it, but when you're faced with a tough issue, standing up, walking out, and standing up and going for a walk just to clear your head, get some fresh air if you can, even if that means just opening a window, having a fan or whatever, it helps so much. I can't tell you the number of problems that I've run into with software in my career where getting up, I may have tunnel visioned on it for hours and hours, maybe even a couple of days. Get up, walk a little bit, grab a quick snack, maybe a cup of coffee or a soda or something like that, and then stretch a little bit, settle myself down, come back, and within an hour, my brain is clicking on a totally different way to solve that same problem. It matters to be able to get up and walk around.
We're going to be poor.
You already are poor.
Hi. I'd like to talk to you about a company called Pied Piper. What does it do? Good question. Maybe you can help us find an answer. What if Pied Piper was an app that could attract rodents? Like the fairy tale for purposes of extermination or to feed your pet snake. We're not here to tell you what to do with your rats. We're here to get you rats stat. Would you be very interested, somewhat interested, or not interested? Which one? Which one? Which one?
So yeah, I mean, that's way too hard of a pivot, but at the same time, you shouldn't be doing this while that exhausted. But this is a really good place to be having those conversations. It's not a bad idea. What I would do instead is do a quick update to my website, put out a forum or something like that, and say, what would you like to see out of this product line or out of this idea pool? Like what, maybe even an open-ended question to a degree. What problems do you experience in the workforce or in daily life that maybe this compression system might be able to help out with? Or if you're looking to build an entirely different product, you approach it in a different way. But if they decide to approach a completely different product, then they have to worry about their funding from Peter Gregory.
Look at them, all full of hope. Pricks.
Now look, Corpy's here recruiting.
They just got $20 million in Series A at a $280 million valuation.
Wow.
That could have been us.
It's too bad we already have jobs. We could easily go work there.
Yeah.
You still could.
It'd be a real dickhead move to bail on Richard now, right? I mean, before we officially go under.
Yeah. Total dickhead move. Even though it is just a matter of days, and we are so close.
I mean, he is standing right there.
But I'm not a dickhead.
No, neither am I.
Just a couple.
That's a lie. They both are dickheads. Proven episode after episode, especially Guilfoyle. That said, there's no reason they couldn't have a conversation with Richard about pulling double duty if the other company that they're looking to work for doesn't mind doing contract work. If they want to outsource to a couple more developers, it may actually benefit them. That company would likely put together NDAs or some sort of legally binding agreement that prevents or tries to prevent their trade secrets from getting out. It might be beneficial to pursue that. Hopefully Richard would understand that they're not making a whole lot of money under Pied Piper, and people need money for rent and food. It's worth a conversation with Richard because they're close to him. If you're working for a big corpa and you're thinking about doing something like this and you talk to your boss about it, careful, because you might just be conveniently underperforming for this quarter. So keep that stuff under wraps if you decide to go that route.
On dickheads.
I'm taking my head totally separate.
You've heard the phrase, time to pay the piper, right? What if there was an app called Pied Piper that could tell you to a statistical degree of certainty whether you were going to heaven or hell? Very interested, somewhat interested, not interested.
What about making Pied Piper a payment app that conveniently allows you to track your expenses and build a budget that is right for you, but it allows you to also do something like Google Pay? And then it can maybe use some sort of technology, in this day and age, maybe an AI or something along those lines, though there are implications there, but use some sort of AI tool or similar to cater that budget specifically around how you've been spending your money in the so far, and how you could better spend even a small portion of it for savings, retirement, etc. Might be useful to go that route. And if you start with just the payment module and then start building in reports functionality, then the budgeting functionality, and then some sort of prospecting for maybe investments like a Robinhood kind of deal, something like that, you may actually have something that starts out very small, very bite-sized, and if people really enjoy it, you get the funding organically, you can build in the next few modules.
Which one? Which one? Which one?
So you made some really over-the-top promises about Nucleus. Can you deliver?
Absolutely. For me, Kara, goodness, greatness, these are not simply catchphrases, but in fact really the intention of Hooli from the beginning.
Gavin,
My
you do
entire
not need to
vision for the
dignify any of this with a response. I can speak for myself. Erlich Bachman, Pied Piper. Was I brutally assaulted? Yes. Did Gavin Belson here have anything to do with it? Unclear. All I know is that the rumor that TechCrunch is all abuzz about is unproven.
Wait, what rumor?
Thank you. Why would Gavin have anything to do with this? Unless he had some reason to be frightened by Pied Piper and its superior technology. This and all other Gavin Belson rumors are unsubstantiated. Okay, the alcoholism, the sexual impropriety at work, the impending crash of Hooli's stock.
This is the most ridiculous...
Exactly! So why repeat the lascivious details with which all of us are undoubtedly already familiar? Guilty or not, Gavin, I stand with you.
Oh my god. Holy shit. That's actually genius. That's, granted, you have to be careful because of legality. You don't want to accuse somebody, but that's why the passive way of saying they're unsubstantiated, but then planting that seed of these rumors. Ooh, that's dirty pool. My dad used to say, the best way to insult somebody is to ask them if they're really as dumb as everybody thinks they are. Because there's no way they can answer that question that's good for them. If you say yes, then everybody thinks you're stupid, and you think you're stupid as much as everybody else seems to think you are. But if you say no, then the implication is that you are dumber than they already think you are. That's kind of what Erlich is doing here, and it's genius to bring the conversation back into the court of Pied Piper, but he's got to be real careful approaching this because he could land in some legal hot water if he's not careful. These can turn into people assuming that they're allegations or accusations, and if they get traced back to Erlich being fully responsible for them, which he is, it could not only look poorly on him, but also on Pied Piper and Richard as an extension. But this is kind of a genius move, and devious as all hell, but interesting. Let's see where it goes.
Care to comment?
Let's keep moving, shall we?
Yes, let's all keep moving. Let's move on from this. I forgive you, Gavin, no matter how brutally I was assaulted.
Wow. Pied Piper sounds like a great place to work.
Oh, yeah, it is. Pied Piper is the best, right?
Oh my god, every day feels like I've died and gone to hell.
I'm sorry?
He's a Satanist, so it's good.
Oh, fun.
The point is, we love our company, and I don't have a problem saying that out loud.
Love it.
We both say it out loud, and I think that fact proves that we're not dickheads. So what we wanted to ask you was...
Guys, totally between us, our beta crapped out.
Ooh.
The VCs did a full clawback, and our Series A is DOA. We're going down. We have enough runway for maybe 2-3 weeks max.
Their venture capitalists crapped out, and because of that, their product is dead on arrival. Their venture capitalist would be their financial backer, their investor that is basically bankrolling the whole project. And because of that, they ran out of money, and they could not afford to bring their beta into legitimacy. That's a tough spot to be in, and not uncommon, but still really, really sucks.
So, do you guys think you could hire me?
Wow.
How much would it be worth to you if I told you I had a GPS app called Pied Piper tracking the location of your child?
Yeah, that's...
I can follow your child anywhere, and there is nothing you can do to stop me.
Most missing children are never found. Interested, very interested, or very interested.
You have any weapons or drugs on your person?
This makes sense.
Why, yes. Yes, I do.
Adderall. This is a highly controlled substance. Are these yours?
No, those belong to an underage kid that I brought to my house.
Yeah, sir. I'm gonna have to ask you to come with me.
It's a kind invitation, but I have too much to do. I'm pivoting.
Let's go now.
No! I'm pivoting.
I'm pivoting.
Don't do that. First of all, don't talk to the cops. Don't. Keep your mouth shut. Get a lawyer. Plead the fifth. Doesn't matter. Shut your mouth. Cops, they might arrest you. They might detain you. Shut your mouth. Get a lawyer. 100%. If you can't afford one, at least in the United States, there are public defenders, such as they are. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. Same goes for non-public defender lawyers. But shut your mouth with the police. Talk to your lawyer. That said, he shouldn't still have the Adderall in his pocket. He should have dumped that ages ago. And he did just confirm that the, what was his name? The Carver? Yeah, the hacker that they hired was an underage individual, which means that all of the jokes and conversation they had with him is super sketchy. Super sketchy. Yeah. Also, nobody should have let him represent Pied Piper in this mental state. He should be back at the hotel sleeping.
We're going to win even if I have to go into the auditorium and personally jerk off every guy in the audience.
What?
That's a lot of jerking. And we only have 10 minutes to present, so...
So, we're fucked, aren't we?
Kind of.
Yeah, even if he's jerking 2 at a time, there are, what, 800 guys in that room, so that's 400 times whatever the mean jerk time is.
The what?
Mean jerk time. I mean, it doesn't matter, but hypothetically, time is equal to 400 total jerks at a 2-dick rate.
Unless Erlich jerks off 4 guys at a time, and then we can cut that in half.
How would he do 4 guys? He's got 2 hands, so that's 2 dicks at a time.
Look, you have 2 guys on either side with their dicks tip to tip, so you're going full length. 4, see?
Oh, from the middle out. That does make sense.
Like 2 shake weights.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do, hypothetically, is minimize time, which is 800 dudes multiplied by mean jerk time divided by 4 dicks at a time. Of course, Erlich would have to pre-sort guys by height so that their dicks lined up.
Not by height, technically. The measurement that we're looking for really is dick to floor. Call that D2F.
Huh. Oh my God.
You know, if a guy's dick was long enough, he would be able to reach up or down to another guy with a different D2F. The longer the dick, the greater the D2F bridge. I would still be able to jerk it off in one smooth motion. I would just have to jerk it on an angle.
I get it. I get the tip to tip. Oh. What is... And of course, Richard's going to have some sort of ridiculous, like, epiphany here. Was he going to figure out how to duplex his algorithm so that he can... Or quadplex it, maybe? So he can just... I don't know, process at double the speed?
I would still be able to jerk it off in one smooth motion. I would just have to jerk it on an angle.
So D2F sub 1 needs to equal D2F sub 2, and D2F sub 3 needs to equal D2F sub 4, where length L creates a complementary shaft angle. Call that theta D. Now,
naturally.
The orgasm threshold.
Oh my God.
The orgasm threshold.
Such an idiot. Middle out. Middle out. Middle out. Oh my God. How could I just... Ah!
Guys, does girth similarity affect Erlich's ability to jerk different dicks simultaneously?
I mean, it would have to, right?
Shit, yeah, I think it would.
Oh, there's wood. There's definitely wood. Oh my god. Is this what y'all have been wanting me to watch? Is just the tip-to-tip, like, culmination. Is this the finale, the season finale? Because people have been saying they couldn't wait for me to react to this episode. Is it just for that one scene? Because, oh my god, that is wild.
Of course it does. Time to orgasm, or T2O, has to be the same for each matching pair of dicks. Otherwise, I'm wasting a lot of great strokes on a guy that's already busted.
Unless you hot swap dicks in and out, so on a downstroke, you get a new one in. So when you stroke up, you're not wasting any energy.
Even so, I think this is the most reliable metric for stamina.
Guys, Richard's been locked in here for almost 2 hours. Do we think he's okay? Yeah.
Don't interrupt him.
You don't think he
did seem pretty bummed out.
Do they think he offed himself? That was absolutely... I have to blur this. I can't show any of this.
All right, guys, let's go. The finals are starting. Up. Guilfoyle.
Let's face it, ladies. Is there anything less sexy than when a user's visualization UX is completely suboptimal? I mean, it's the worst, right? So
I think they just said... hold on, I'm going to wind it back.
let's face it, ladies. Is there anything less sexy than when a user's visualization UX is completely suboptimal? I mean...
That's just basically saying that the dashboard doesn't look good. She's asking if there's anything worse than when the UI doesn't look good. Which, yeah, there are a lot of things far worse than that. There's a lot of software out there that looks like garbage, but runs beautifully. And then there are systems out there that look beautiful and run like garbage, like Salesforce. So, I mean, yeah, don't buy Salesforce. Don't.
Richard, is this the right build? I can't find the mobile suite here.
It is nowhere. I deleted it.
What?
Here they are. Pied Piper's here.
Sorry, we're late.
Richard, talk to me. I can't front a band without knowing what we're playing.
I think I'm just gonna do the presentation myself.
Wait, what? No, Richard. Respectfully. You're terrible. You have a world-class showman standing right in front of you, and you're gonna pass on that? Release me, Richard. Release the Kraken.
Pied Piper, you're on.
This is it.
Taking the badge off is a smart move.
But I hope it works. Me too.
Taking the badge off is a smart move because it's really easy for people to get distracted by the glinting light off of the plastic. It can also be a distraction if it whips around while you're moving, or it can get in the way of your keyboard when you go to bring up your laptop if you're presenting that way, which is why tablets are so nice for presentations, other than the fact that they don't weigh as much as a frickin' cinder block. But taking that off is not a bad idea. Not having Erlich present is also a really good idea in this case, not just because of his bad press so far, but also because Richard knows the ins and outs of the system. It doesn't make sense for him to try to communicate that all to somebody that's not as tech savvy or as knowledgeable. And it makes more sense for somebody that is intimately familiar with the system to present it, especially when they've made drastic changes. I don't condone making changes like this in the spur of the moment, but sometimes inspiration hits in such a way that it just makes sense. Go knock it out and get it there, especially if you can get it stable by the deadline. What I would say is that if you are going to do that, if you are in a situation like this, make sure you have some sort of version control set up. I harped on it on an episode in the, at this point, actual time, distant past, in the series time, a few episodes ago. Git or Subversion, but just go with Git. Git is so much cleaner and easier to use. Made by the person that created Linux, actually, Linus Torvalds. Anyway, what I was saying, if you are in this kind of crunch time, make sure you branch off of the main repository, make your edits, and commit only to that branch. You can push those up to the server on that branch, that's fine, but do not do a destructive pull request upward into the main branch or into the main development branch until you know for sure that those changes are viable and they are going to successfully merge in and mesh with the rest of the ecosystem that you're working on. Git branches are great because they allow you to do that kind of thing pretty much losslessly. as long as you are committing frequently, which I do recommend. When I commit, or when I'm in development, my minimum commit count is like 3 or 4 per day. Oftentimes I will commit every hour to hour and a half, because that's how much time I'm willing to lose if I make a mistake or my computer crashes or something like that. I'm willing to burn an hour and a half to get that stuff back, or to get back into a functional state. That's going to be different between every individual, but that would be my recommendation.
All right, let's welcome our final team to the finals of this year's TechCrunch Disrupt Startup Battlefield. Presenting for Pied Piper is Erlich Bachman.
Oh, so she decided to show up. I thought she was late for a meeting with Peter. Interesting.
Actually, there has been a change of plans. Presenting for Pied Piper will be Richard Hendricks.
I talked about this, I believe, in the previous yeah, it was in the previous episode. The lighting in the house would not be that high. You would not be able to see more than the first couple of rows at the most. Usually that lighting is incredibly bright. So, especially if they're recording this or live streaming it.
Because you see, Hooli did everything that we were trying to do better, way better. Nucleus is built on the same engine as ours, like exactly the same, and their Weissman score was 2.89, same as ours. But the thing is, they built a ton of really great stuff up on top of that, and we can't compete, so now we have to be something else.
This is really great. This is surprisingly good. Having this kind of empathy build in the beginning of your presentation, saying, hey, this is what we were. We had to quickly pivot last minute. They did so much better than we could have done. I mean, regardless of whether it was because they had more assets, whether they undercut us or not, it doesn't matter. They have a better product that they can deliver in that way. So I'm going to tell you that they're running on the exact same stuff we are. And when they came out with that presentation yesterday, we realized that we couldn't stack up. But the difference between Hooli and us is that we can pivot way faster. I'm going to give you a little nugget of wisdom. In the 12 years that I have been in this industry, looking at tech and non-tech businesses, I've never seen a single business that has gotten more efficient as it has gotten bigger. They might be more efficient in some things, but especially when it comes to pivoting product lines and things like that, they are never as efficient, because there's always 150 plus meetings that have to be had in order to bring everybody on board with the same idea. It's horrendous. It's frustrating. That's the beauty of a startup. Richard and his small team of developers can take what they had and say, no, scrap it. We're going to do better. So let's see what they do.
Okay, well, anyway, I deleted all our modules last night, and I completely rebuilt our engine from scratch last night. Now, this morning I really only had enough time to do one test. And when I did, we hit a Weissman score of 3.8. Now, I know the theoretical limit was 2.9, but as you can see...
I'm sorry. You scored a 3.8?
Yes, sir.
And this is a universal lossless compression engine. Text, audio, video...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt your eloquent presentation, Richard, but rather...
So, I, in a previous episode, had done a quick Google search on what the Weissman score was and thought that I had found something that was credible. Totally did not. The Weissman score is just a fictional thing that they made. So I can't speak to this. Typically, we would use compression ratio and losslessness in order to be able to determine, and speed at compression, speed of compression, to determine how efficient a system is and how good it is at compressing files. So this is just a bunch of gobbledygook for the show. And I apologize. I thought I had found good information before. I didn't. So there we go.
Rather than say anything more, why don't we just give you a file and we'll see whether this thing can do what you say it does? Because if it can't, then we're done here. Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So we can give you any kind of a file and you can compress it without degradation at this standard, 3.8.
Yes.
Yep. All right, give us a minute, please. What do we got? Does anyone have?
Will this eat into their presentation time? This is a hell of a trial by fire. Oh, the computer bag.
I've got a file for him.
Okay, Andy Stafford here has a file for you.
Is it stuck? There is a time limit. You have 2 minutes remaining.
They should take the judgment time out.
Looks like it's done.
Wait, 24 gigs. What happened?
Oh, shit. There's no way. It didn't compress the whole thing. It should be twice that size.
I mean, 24 gigs, that's less than a fourth the file size.
That seems dubious, Richard.
Why don't we run a Weissman test for verification, see where we went wrong?
Okay, I mean, it shouldn't take too long. I'd only compress half the fucking file. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have rewritten all this code. I mean, what we had before worked. I'm sorry, guys.
It is working, though.
Gavin won. We lost.
At least it didn't happen in a public and brutally embarrassing way.
Thanks, Guilfoyle.
Yeah.
Wait a second. What's happening? There's no errors. Look. .2? How?
Wait, what? Wait, it compressed the whole file?
That's the whole file. It's just half the size I thought it would be.
Ladies and gentlemen, obviously we're going to keep looking at this to verify, but with a confirmed score of 5.2, Pied Piper appears to have just doubled the best Weissman score ever measured. Doubled it. That the winner of this year's Disrupt Cup and $50,000, like they're gonna need it, is Pied Piper.
So Richard wrote the code.
Richard wrote the code, yes, but the inspiration was clear. Let me ask you something. How fast do you think you could jack off every guy in this room? Because I know how long it would take me, and I can prove it.
Nice. Thank you so much.
I don't fully understand it, but I would definitely like to invest.
Oh, great.
Really impressed. I really want to get you in front of my partners.
Oh, wow.
Soon.
I appreciate that, guys. Well, hopefully we'll talk to each other soon.
Thanks.
Hey,
Monica.
Congratulations. You were amazing up there.
Thank you.
I just spoke with
I mean, it's phenomenal to be where he's at. However, he does need to figure out what that investment strategy looks like for those investors and what the return on their investment needs to be. He also needs to consider the potential conflict that he will have with Peter Gregory. Peter Gregory is probably not going to be opposed to it because he will likely want to get a cut of that. $50,000 is not a ton of money, but it is absolutely a big benefit for them, as small of a shop as they've been. Would allow them to actually be able to upgrade some of their hardware, maybe get a test server in-house, maybe even get some newer hardware for them to develop on, or at least pay for licensing fees to get this out on the App Store and the Google Play Store and any others that they want to publish to.
Peter's going to be a lot more hands-on and a lot tougher on you. People may take credit for your idea and try and sue you. How awesome is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, if you
There
thought
are too many people in the show that are excited about getting sued.
it was crazy getting to this point, you're not going to believe what it turns into from here.
Right.
I mean, pretty soon you could be managing thousands of employees who are all
Yeah,
looking
he's
up
gonna
to
vomit.
you. And Gavin Belson, he's not going away anytime soon. But it's going to be amazing.
Excuse me a second. Yep.
Yep, vomiting. I hate it. And now he's locked out, isn't he? There we go. That was Silicon Valley Season 1, Episode 8. Honestly, hats off to him. The writing of the show so far has been really good, and that was the season finale. Really, really weird way to get around to figuring out a new algorithm, but if I said that was inaccurate, I would be lying. Obviously, it's a bit ridiculous, but for the most part, most of the developers I know, when they're faced with tough situations like that, the inspiration for circumventing the roadblock actually ends up being totally off the wall. I'm excited to get into Season 2 and see where things go, but that'll have to wait for the next episode. Yeah, this has been good. I appreciate you guys sticking around, and I appreciate all the new subscribers that we've gotten from the series. I really wanted to thank all of you. I do plan to continue. If there are specific episodes that you would prefer that I cherry pick out and put onto the channel, let me know. If you want me to just react to the whole series, let me know. Either way, I will be watching the whole thing regardless. So, yeah, I think that does it for Season 1. Thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for watching the reactions. Really appreciate it. And, yeah, until next time, have a good one.